The galaxy had always regarded humanity as a curiosity, a young and untested species barely worth a second glance, relegated to the outer fringe world where no civilization of real power bothered to tread. And for centuries humans had observed the sprawling empires of the Zaryth Dominion, the Velkari Ascendancy, and the Marenth Collective with cautious curiosity and patient restraint, quietly building, quietly learning, and quietly preparing while the galaxy's great powers laughed at their small, blue world, dismissing humanity's technological achievements as rudimentary and primitive compared to the hyper-advanced fleets and planet-shaping capabilities of the established empires. Yet beneath the surface of this apparent simplicity, humanity's engineers, scientists, and visionaries have been weaving together an intricate network of hidden technology, combining principles that have been forbidden, lost, or ignored across the stars, and integrating them into designs that even the most ambitious alien strategists could not have imagined. And when the first Zaryth patrols approached Sol with the usual air of condescension, their massive warships bristling with weapons meant to intimidate, the humans did not panic or submit. They observed with calm eyes and quiet minds, activating sensors that probed and calculated with a speed and precision that far exceeded the calculations of their would-be masters, and within moments, the humans had detected weaknesses in the Zaryth. Energy matrices, small inconsistencies in the deployment of shields and weapon harmonics that no one else in the galaxy could have noticed, and without a word, they deployed microsatellites cloaked in stealth, small enough to evade detection, each carrying payloads of electromagnetic disruption tuned to interfere with the Zaryth fleet's primary systems, and when the aliens' weapons fired, entire volleys fizzled and burned harmlessly, their targeting arrays scrambling against invisible interference, causing confusion and panic among crews who had believed themselves untouchable, while on Earth, command centers were filled with calm, precise voices coordinating countermeasures, not for defense, but for offense, as humanity's engineers triggered the next phase of their plan, releasing nanoscale construction drones into orbit that could reconstruct and adapt technology on the fly, turning captured energy from the Zaryth attacks into amplifiers that bolstered human ships beyond their expected limits. And as the first human cruisers engaged, they moved not in reckless frontal assaults, but in carefully calculated maneuvers that exploited every flaw the Zaryth thought irrelevant, each strike not destroying outright, but systematically neutralizing the enemy's capabilities while conserving human resources. And across the command decks of the alien warships, disbelief spread as the humans, whom they had long ridiculed, demonstrated comprehension and adaptability that far outstripped any intelligence the galaxy had expected. And by the time the first major engagement concluded, the Zaryth fleet was left crippled, their flagship's energy core destabilized by an application of human-designed feedback loops, their command networks fractured by automated counterintelligence systems embedded in what they had assumed were merely communication satellites, and as the dust settled in orbit above Sol, human diplomats aboard their vessels transmitted a simple message to the stunned remnants of the Dominion, a message that was not a threat but a declaration of intent, explaining that humanity's rise had not been sudden or accidental. It had been deliberate, patient, and rooted in centuries of observation, learning, and preparation. And the aliens, forced to listen as humans detailed the breadth of their technological achievements, from adaptive nanotechnology to quantum phase weaponry, to artificial intelligence frameworks capable of predictive strategy better than any known galactic algorithm, could only acknowledge that every assumption they had held about humanity had been spectacularly wrong, and as reports filtered through the wider galactic networks, other empires, once dismissive, began to scramble their own fleets and send envoys, all realizing that a species they had thought insignificant had just demonstrated a level of sophistication and capability that made even the most powerful of them pause and reconsider every past judgment, every condescending remark, and every decision to treat humans as lesser. And through it all, humanity remained measured, not vengeful, not arrogant, but resolute, revealing just enough of their hidden technology to assert dominance without extinguishing life unnecessarily, setting a precedent that would echo across interstellar politics for decades, a reminder that civilizations underestimated at their peril. And as the first Zaryth ships limped away, damaged and humiliated, the humans turned back to their workstations, continuing research, monitoring alien responses, and preparing quietly for the inevitable encounters to come, knowing that the galaxy had just glimpsed the beginning of a power that would never again be taken lightly, and that in every calculation, every maneuver, and every quiet step forward, humanity was proving what they had always known, that cleverness, patience, and hidden strength could overturn assumptions, and that no civilization, no matter how ancient or powerful, would ever laugh at humanity again without paying a price they could not possibly anticipate. The aftermath of humanity's first engagement with the Zaryth fleet sent shockwave through the galaxy as word of the human concealed technology and flawless execution spread from system to system, and while many alien civilizations had initially dismissed the reports as exaggerations or propaganda, the evidence was irrefutable: satellites and probes capturing data of ships destroyed without traditional firepower, command centers crippled by systems that seemed almost sentient in their adaptive response, and fleets retreating in disarray from a species they had long considered primitive. And in the councils of the Velkari ascendancy, debates rage over how to respond, as their military strategists scrambled to understand what the humans had accomplished, discovering that Earth had been quietly building orbital infrastructure, defensive and offensive systems intertwined with their planetary grid, and fleets equipped with autonomous vessels capable of reconfiguring weapons and shields mid-battle, all controlled by a distributed AI network that learned and evolved faster than any known algorithm. And the Marenth collective, whose arrogance had been equally legendary, faced a similar revelation as they attempted to impose trade restrictions and military oversight on human colonies in the Orion Arm, only to find themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Their attempts to intercept supply lines failing because humans had anticipated every conventional tactic: planting, decoys, rerouting shipments through unexpected routes, and deploying remote-controlled skimmer ships that could alter their signatures and velocities to mimic anything from asteroids to fully armed battleships. And as the humans demonstrated restraint, refusing to obliterate entire fleets unnecessarily, it became clear that their goal was not conquest or destruction, but to assert dominance in a way that preserved the balance of life while forcing recognition of their capabilities. And in the halls of human command, discussions focused not on retaliation or conquest, but on preparation for what would inevitably come as the rest of the galaxy recalculated their strategies, recognizing that humans were no longer a fringe species but technological and tactical power haze, with engineers and scientists continuously developing quantum phase energy arrays, adaptive cloaking systems, and weaponized nanostructures that could disable machinery without harming organic life. And across the colonies, civilian populations contributed through innovation and intelligence gathering, turning communication networks into active data hubs, analyzing alien movements and behavior to predict potential threats and opportunities. And in the depths of space, human captains coordinated strikes and defenses with a level of precision that left veteran alien admirals dumbfounded, each maneuver blending offense and defense so seamlessly that opponents often did not realize they had lost until systems failed and retreats became necessary. And as the first formal diplomatic missions from the Zaryth and Velkari reached human representatives, there was a palpable tension, a recognition that humanity had shifted from an underestimated species to a central player in galactic affairs. And these interactions, while ostensibly peaceful, were fraught with subtext, each envoy carefully observing, each human carefully revealing only what was necessary to maintain an edge, demonstrating that patience, intelligence, and strategic foresight were as much weapons as any fleet or technological marvel. And in the weeks that followed, humanity expanded its presence through the Orion Arm not through aggression, but by offering assistance to lesser developed civilizations under threat from predatory empires, using their hidden technology to stabilize planetary ecosystems, restore failing orbital defenses, and protect colonies from raids. And as stories of human ingenuity and restraint circulated, more systems voluntarily aligned with Earth, not out of fear, but respect and recognition that the humans' approach combined unparalleled capability with a moral compass that made alliances desirable. And all the while, humans continued to refine their technology in secrecy, developing new methods of energy harnessing, interstellar propulsion, and autonomous systems that allowed them to project power subtly yet decisively, preparing for the inevitable moment when some overconfident empire might again misjudge their intentions. And when that day came, as it inevitably would, humanity would be ready not merely to defend, but to demonstrate to the entire galaxy the full extent of their potential, proving once more that civilizations who laughed at Earth did so only once before paying a price measured not in weeks or months, but in the irreversible realignment of galactic power. And in the quiet corridors of human command centers, leaders and scientists alike understood that this was only the beginning, that the galaxy's reaction to their emergence would define centuries to come, and that every calculation, every invention, every measured response was preparing humanity not just to survive, but to redefine what it meant to be a dominant and respected species in a universe that had long underestimated them. As humanity's influence spread across the Orion Arm, the galaxy's perception of the once dismissed species shifted dramatically, and the Velkari ascendancy, still smarting from previous encounters, attempted to test human resolve by sending elite strike teams to harass colonies on the fringe of human-controlled space, only to find that every incursion was anticipated, every maneuver countered with precision, and each alien unit neutralized not through brute force alone, but through human ingenuity, deploying adaptive drones that could intercept weapons mid-flight, reprogramming captured alien tech to serve defensive purposes, and utilizing quantum phase sensors that allowed ships to predict enemy movements with uncanny accuracy. And while the Velkari scrambled to reassess their tactics, humans extended covert assistance to allied civilizations, quietly fortifying defenses, sharing energy redistribution technologies, and installing automated repair and medical facilities capable of sustaining entire populations under siege, demonstrating a combination of tactical brilliance and moral clarity that left observers across multiple sectors in awe. And the Zaryth, witnessing these developments, attempted to leverage political influence over weaker civilizations to isolate Earth, only to discover that humanity had established communication networks that intercepted, decoded, and countered misinformation campaigns, revealing a level of strategic foresight that made the entire Dominion hesitate, as human diplomats subtly manipulated galactic media and intelligence to highlight acts of protection and humanitarian aid, further enhancing their reputation and creating political pressure on would-be aggressors. And meanwhile, deep within orbital research stations, human scientists were perfecting advancements in propulsion, energy conversion, and defense systems, integrating alien knowledge with centuries of human ingenuity to create ships capable of operating in environments previously thought inaccessible. And by the time the Velkari attempted to challenge a strategic jump point leading to a vital trade corridor, they encountered a fleet that moved in perfect coordination, combining autonomous craft, adaptive shields, and predictive targeting, all synchronized through a distributed AI that could execute complex maneuvers faster than any conventional command chain. And as the first salvos were fired, the Velkari realized their attacks were ineffective, their systems being reproposed and neutralized in real time, causing confusion and panic among veteran officers. And within hours, the humans had established a blockade, not to destroy, but to compel negotiations on terms favorable to maintaining stability and protecting Allied systems. And in the council convened afterwards, humans revealed selective aspects of their hidden technology, enough to impress without alarming, showing adaptive energy conversion systems, fleet coordination, algorithms, and rapid response drones that could neutralize multiple targets simultaneously, earning grudging respect from alien diplomats who had long underestimated them. And while the galaxy adjusted to this new reality, Earth scientists continued to explore advanced applications of quantum phase mechanics, nanotechnology, and energy field manipulation, developing the next generation of human ships capable of moving faster than conventional light speed, surviving intense gravitic anomalies, and deploying energy shields that could absorb and redirect attacks in ways previously unimaginable. And in the shadows, intelligence networks monitored every alien fleet and diplomatic message, creating predictive models that allowed humans to plan interventions, protect allies, and anticipate potential threats, ensuring that no miscalculation could undermine their position. And as new alliances formed, the humans demonstrated restraint, deploying forces only when necessary, stabilizing regions in turmoil, assisting civilizations threatened by predatory powers, and showing that their strength was not only technological but moral, a combination that inspired loyalty, fear, and admiration across systems. And as centuries of preparation bore fruit, the galaxy realized that the species they had mocked was now a linchpin of interstellar stability, a civilization whose hidden technology, strategic brilliance, and ethical clarity had transformed them from an underestimated backwater into a force that no empire could ignore. And as humans surveyed their expanding sphere of influence, they understood that the true measure of their power was not in destruction, but in the ability to shape events across light years with precision, wisdom, and foresight, and that the galaxy, having laughed at their civilization for so long, was now learning that every underestimation came with consequences that would echo across the stars for generations to come. The longer humanity maintained its careful balance of power and influence, the more the galaxy realized that what had seemed like a sudden emergence was in fact the result of centuries of deliberate preparation, and while some civilizations scrambled to match human technological advances, others sought alliances or protection, recognizing that resistance without understanding would be catastrophic, and within human command centers, the focus remained on refinement rather than retaliation. Engineers and scientists pushing the boundaries of adaptive technology, energy manipulation, and autonomous defense systems, integrating lessons learned from every encounter with alien fleets into predictive models that allowed human forces to anticipate every possible response, and as smaller empires attempted opportunistic strikes against human-supported systems, they were consistently outmaneuvered by fleets that move with the fluidity of living organisms, drones capable of instant adaptation, shields that could redirect energy, and communication networks that could coordinate thousands of vessels across vast distances almost instantaneously. And the Zaryth, still nursing their earlier humiliation, attempted a multi-pronged diplomatic and military effort to isolate Earth, only to encounter humans who had anticipated every contingency, rerouting supply lines, intercepting communications, and using advanced cloaking and stealth technology to position forces where needed, demonstrating a mastery of logistics and strategy that left the Dominions scrambling and questioning every assumption they had ever made about human capability. And at the same time, humans extended their reach not through conquest, but through protection, offering technological upgrades, medical and energy support, and orbital stabilization to vulnerable planets under threat from more aggressive neighbors, creating loyalty and admiration that further strengthened their influence. And deep space, research stations continued to experiment with quantum entanglement communications, gravity field manipulation, and nanostructure adaptation, enabling ships to anticipate hazards, repair themselves mid-mission, and deploy energy shields tailored to specific threats, while artificial intelligence frameworks evolved to model alien behavior, predicting both political and military maneuvers before they occurred. And in one bold demonstration, a human fleet intercepted an armed convoy intended to coerce a neutral planet into submission, neutralizing the threat with surgical precision using non-lethal disruption pulses and adaptive countermeasures that rendered alien weapons and propulsion systems innate, leaving the crews unharmed. But their mission failed, and as alien envoys reported these outcomes, the message became clear. Humans were not a species to be underestimated. Their hidden technology and strategic discipline, making them capable of defending allies, stabilizing regions, and reshaping conflicts without unnecessary destruction. And while this garnered grudging respect among some empires, others grew increasingly paranoid, their fleets on constant alert, their diplomats careful with every word, and humans, observing these reactions, continued to act with measured restraint, knowing that excessive force would provoke fear rather than cooperation, and that patience, foresight, and deliberate action were their greatest strengths. And as fleets maneuvered across contested space, they executed multi-layered operations that neutralized threats before engagement, coordinated rescue and protection missions for endangered colonies, and demonstrated technological prowess in ways that compelled allies and adversaries alike to acknowledge that Earth was no longer a backwater planet, but a nexus of innovation, strategy, and moral authority. And in private meetings, human scientists and strategists plotted the next generation of advancements, including efficient energy redistribution systems, ships capable of operating in previously inaccessible environments, and defensive measures that could counter every known method of attack, ensuring that when the galaxy attempted to challenge humanity again, the species that had once been laughed at would be ready not only to survive, but to assert its dominance and protect its allies. And through every calculated move, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived as a force defined by intelligence, patience, and technological mastery, and every empire that had once dismissed them would soon learn that hidden strength, when combined with strategy and ethical purpose, could not only defend a civilization, but reshape the balance of power across the stars. The galaxy's growing awareness of humanity's capabilities created a tense atmosphere as empires that had long assumed dominance scrambled to reevaluate their strategies, and while many attempted to match human technology through reverse engineering and espionage, they consistently fell short, unable to replicate the seamless integration of adaptive systems, predictive algorithms, and human ingenuity that defined Earth's fleet and infrastructure. And within human command centers, scientists and strategists worked tirelessly, anticipating potential threats decades before they materialized, developing fleets capable of self-repair, automated drones that could neutralize weapon systems, and energy shields that dynamically responded to attacks, while intelligence networks monitored not just fleets but political and cultural developments, predicting diplomatic shifts and potential conflicts before they arose, allowing humans to intervene in ways that preserved life while asserting authority. And as alien powers attempted to test these systems, they encountered unexpected responses. Fleets that maneuvered with flawless coordination, weapons neutralized mid-flight, and communications rerouted to prevent sabotage, leaving commanders scrambling to regain control. And yet humans did not act recklessly. Their actions measured, calculated to protect allies, stabilize contested systems, and deter aggression without unnecessary destruction. And the Velkari and Zaryth, forced to witness repeated demonstrations of human superiority, were left to reconsider their assumptions, their arrogance replaced by caution, as even minor incursions were met with countermeasures so precise that entire campaigns were nullified before engagement. And as humans expanded their influence, they also strengthened alliances with civilizations previously under threat, deploying technology that restored orbital defenses, stabilized energy grids, and provided medical and logistical support, creating loyalty and trust that would endure for generations. And in research stations scattered throughout human-controlled space, scientists pushed the boundaries of quantum mechanics, gravitic manipulation, and nanotechnology, producing new ships capable of extreme acceleration, adaptive cloaking, and localized energy modulation that could disarm hostile fleets without loss of life, while AI networks continuously analyzed alien tactics and cultural tendencies, enabling human commanders to anticipate moves and negotiate from positions of undeniable strength. And as diplomatic envoys arrived from multiple empires, seeking understanding, protection, or alliance, humans demonstrated both restraint and capability, revealing only what was necessary to maintain balance while ensuring their supremacy remained unquestioned. And when a coalition of minor empires attempted to challenge human authority over a strategic sector, they found themselves met not with indiscriminate force, but with surgical precision. Fleets deploying adaptive drones that neutralized propulsion and weapon systems, energy shields that absorbed and redirected attacks, and automated logistics ensuring uninterrupted supply and reinforcement, while human diplomats coordinated relief and stabilization for affected worlds, reinforcing both power and benevolence, and through every calculated action. The galaxy saw that humanity's hidden technology was not merely an instrument of war, but a tool of strategy, protection, and influence, and that the species once marked for its supposed simplicity had become a civilization whose intelligence, foresight, and restraint made it impossible to challenge without catastrophic consequences. And as humans continued to refine and expand their capabilities, projecting power subtly yet decisively across interstellar distances, the realization became clear to every empire. The era of laughing at humanity was over, and any who sought to underestimate or provoke them would face not only advanced technology and unmatched strategy, but a species whose patience, ingenuity, and ethical clarity ensured that every move was precise, deliberate, and inevitably decisive, leaving the galaxy with no doubt that humanity had emerged as a central force in interstellar phase, capable of reshaping alliances, protecting the vulnerable, and asserting dominance in ways that combined brilliance with restraint, and that the final lesson of this emergence would echo for generations. Never dismiss a civilization whose true strength lies hidden behind patience, preparation, and unparalleled mastery of both technology and strategy. As humanity solidified its position across the galaxy, the full magnitude of what had once been dismissed as a small, insignificant civilization became undeniable, and empires that had long regarded Earth with condescension now approached with caution, respect, and, in some cases, outright reverence. For humans had demonstrated that their hidden technology was not merely an arsenal, but a manifestation of intellect, foresight, and ethical discipline. And while alien powers attempted to form coalitions to counterbalance human influence, they consistently found themselves anticipating moves they had not considered, strategies countered before execution, fleets neutralized without catastrophic destruction, and communication networks so advanced that misinformation campaigns and covert operations were rendered obsolete. And across human-controlled space, colonies flourished under protection and guidance of Earth's technological and strategic frameworks, with energy grids stabilized, orbital defenses reinforced, and transportation and medical systems optimized to support both civilian populations and allied forces, while scientists and engineers continued to refine technologies that would push the boundaries of space exploration, energy manipulation, and artificial intelligence, developing quantum-phase propulsion capable of traversing previously unreachable regions, adaptive energy shields that could respond to previously unimaginable threats, and autonomous systems capable of defending entire sectors without direct human intervention. And as these developments unfolded, humans engaged diplomatically with every empire they encountered, not from a place of dominance alone, but from the principle that strength tempered by wisdom and restraint was the most enduring form of influence. And when the Zaryth, Velkari, and Marenth finally convened a joint council to address the undeniable reality of humanity's rise, they were met not with threats or ultimatums, but with measured presentations of human capability, demonstrations of protection for vulnerable civilizations, and a clear articulation of principles that governed intervention alliance, leaving alien leaders no choice but to acknowledge that the species they had mocked was now a central force in galactic stability, capable of defending allies, neutralizing threats, and shaping outcomes with precision that no other civilization could rival. And while some still harbored envy or ambition, the overwhelming impression across councils and fleets was that humanity's patience, ingenuity, and moral clarity had created a civilization whose hidden technology and strategic mastery demanded respect and cooperation. And as humans continued to explore uncharted systems, develop new technologies, and integrate allies into their sphere of influence, they maintained the balance that had become the hallmark of their rise, immense power exercised with foresight, intelligence, and restraint, ensuring that threats were neutralized before escalation, that allies were protected, and that the galaxy learned the final lesson of underestimating humanity, which was that true strength was not measured by aggression alone, but by the ability to plan decades in advance, anticipate every challenge, integrate technology and strategies seamlessly, and act with precision and purpose. And as the last fleets returned from missions demonstrating the full scope of human capability, every empire, ally, and observer understood the immutable truth. The laughing species of old had transformed into a civilization whose hidden technology, unparalleled strategy, and ethical discipline had redefined the galaxy, proving once and for all that humanity's rise was inevitable, its power unassailable, and that the mistakes of underestimation would echo for centuries, leaving no doubt that from that moment forward, the galaxy would never again treat humanity as anything less than the dominant, formidable, and respected force it had always been destined to become.